Although historically women are usually excluded from wars and violent conflict, many revolutions have been instigated by them. The underlying causes of these revolutions were generally linked to extreme poverty and food shortages. Still, it seems that if it gets bad enough for women to protest, a violent uprising is just around the corner. Revolutions instigated by women include Boudica's uprising against the Romans in England, the Russian Revolution, and the French Revolution, not to mention countless food riots started by women. In this video, we will examine the often tragic lives of 5 important female figures in the French Revolution. Number 1. Claire Lacombe. Claire Lacombe was born in southwest France on August 4, 1765. She dreamed of becoming an actress and performed in numerous productions. In 1792, Lacombe moved to Paris, hoping to become a star. While in Paris, she became sympathetic to the revolutionist cause and declared that she was ready to lay down her life for what she saw as the salvation of France. Ever the theatric, Lacombe sewed herself a dress in the revolutionary tricolors and joined thousands of Parisian revolutionaries in storming Tuileries Palace and evicting the royal family. Lacombe was shot in the arm during the fray, but her ferocity earned her the title Heroine of August 10th. In 1793, Lacombe and another woman, Pauline Léon, founded the Society of Revolutionary Republican Women. The women were drawn to a group of extreme revolutionaries called the Enragés, and Lacombe had a brief love affair with their leader, Théophile Leclerc. While some male revolutionaries supported the women and their desire to fight, most believe women had no place in politics. Lacombe's revolutionary career ended when she and the Women's Society tried to provoke other women into joining their cause. One morning, a riot broke out at the St. Innocents Market, and the Women's Society was deemed to be the ones to blame. Soon, all female societies and clubs were banned. Lacombe tried to protest this move, but was told to go home and attend to her domestic duties. She was arrested in 1794 and sentenced to 16 months in prison, after which she never regained her revolutionary fame. Number 2. Pauline Léon. Pauline Léon was born in Paris on September 28, 1768. She was born into a lower middle-class family, but her father had taught her to read, which was unusual for someone of her gender and background. At a young age, she lost her father and had to take charge of running the family's chocolate-making business, as well as taking care of her mother and 5 siblings. This upbringing gave her both independence and confidence. Since she could read, she became very aware of the ongoing political situation in France, which opened her eyes to the disparities in French society. From early on, Léon advocated for the rights of women to bear arms and fight alongside their revolutionary brothers. As the French Revolution became more aggressive, groups of female militants formed what were known as filles sans culottes, or girls without silk breeches. On July 14, 1789, the revolutionist insurgents stormed the Bastille, a prison that had come to symbolize the overbearing rule of the Bourbon monarchy. Léon was amongst the fighters, wielding a pike and fully engaging in violent action. She also attended other anti-royalist demonstrations and spoke at the National Assembly, arguing for the formation of a women's militia. Soon, she became close friends with another female revolutionary, Claire Lacombe, and together they formed the Society of Revolutionary Republican Women, with Léon at the head and Lacombe as the secretary. While Léon supported the right of women to fight in the revolution, she did it purely to defend her country and not out of a desire to promote women's rights. After she married her friend's ex-lover, Théophile Leclerc, she removed herself from politics, became a school teacher, and devoted herself to the care of her family. Number 3. Germaine de Staël. Anne-Louise-Germaine Necker was born to Swiss parents in Paris on April 22, 1766. Her father was the finance minister of King Louis XVI, and her mother had established a literary and political salon in Paris. The young Germaine was often found in her mother's salon, where she engaged in intellectual debates and garnered a reputation as a lively wit. Here, she was exposed to the ideas of the Enlightenment and the works of philosophers such as Jean-Jacques Rousseau and Baron Montesquieu. As the daughter of an influential couple, her parents began to plan her marriage when she was 16, with one possible suitor being William Pitt the Younger. However, Germaine did not like the idea of moving to England and in 1786, at age 20, she married Swedish ambassador Baron Erik de Stael-Holstein. The couple had 3 children before their marriage ended in a formal separation in 1797. Germaine had a penchant for writing and completed her first literary piece, a romantic novel entitled Sophie ou les sentiments secrets, when she was 21. 2 years into her marriage, Germaine published her most famous book on Rousseau, Letters on the Works and Character of J.J. Rousseau. Her political views align more with the English parliamentary monarchy than the French absolute monarchy. When the French Revolution broke out in 1789, she sided with the revolutionary Jacobin movement. Although she was unable to hold political office due to her gender, she attended meetings of the National Assembly. She opened her own salon at the Swedish Embassy, where she hosted dinners attended by many people from across the political spectrum. Through her charisma and intelligent debate, Germaine won many of these people over to her side, and her salon helped shape the revolutionary discussions in Paris. While Germaine had aligned herself with the Jacobins, as they became more radical, she found herself favoring the more moderate Girondins. When the Jacobins seized power and forced the Girondins out of the government, Germaine was lucky to have the protection of her husband's diplomatic status. But it was not long before the Jacobins instigated their Reign of Terror, which saw mass arrests and executions of anyone who did not fully support them. Germaine fled to Switzerland, where she continued to write on French politics. After the execution of Marie Antoinette, Germaine defended the Queen's character, arguing that much of her vilification was due to her sex. After the Reign of Terror, Germaine returned to France, reinstated her salon, and published more political and literary essays. She denounced the rise of Napoleon Bonaparte, helping to form a liberal resistance that set her up as the would-be dictator's personal enemy. In 1803, Napoleon banished Germaine from Paris. Around 10 years later, she fled Europe after being persecuted by the police. In 1814, after the fall of Napoleon, she returned to Paris but was disillusioned by the foreign occupation and felt that there was no way to re-establish liberty in France. Number 4. Olympe de Gouges. Olympe de Gouges was born in Montauban on May 7, 1748. While her mother married a butcher named Pierre Gouges, there is some speculation that her biological father was the Marquis de Pompignan, Jean-Jacques Lefranc. She was married at 16 and had 1 son, but the relationship didn't last long, and afterward she moved to Paris and swore off any future marriage. In Paris, she became impassioned about politics and social issues, including improving the conditions of divorce, refining maternity wards, promoting the rights of orphans and unmarried mothers, and advocating abolitionism. To promote her ideas, she wrote many plays and pamphlets regarding the rights of women and illegitimate children and condemned the practice of slavery. One of her plays, entitled L'Esclavage des Noirs, The Enslavement of Blacks, was shut down after 3 performances as it had been sabotaged by proponents of the slave trade, who paid hecklers to disrupt the show and filled the newspapers with poor reviews. During the French Revolution, the National Constituent Assembly wrote a new constitution for France and prefaced it with the Declaration of the Rights of Man and of the Citizen. Although this document advocated human rights, it denied women the right to citizenship, and it was clear that the rights of women were not equal to those of men. In 1791, de Gouges wrote a pamphlet entitled Declaration of the Rights of Women and of the Female Citizen. She caused further controversy by dedicating it to Marie Antoinette, whom she referred to as the most detested of all women. De Gouges believed that the revolution could only reach its full potential when women woke up and realized the deplorable condition that they were in. The pamphlet earned de Gouges some powerful enemies, especially amongst the militant Jacobin movement. In addition to championing women's rights, de Gouges favored the Girondins over the radical Jacobins, also known as the Montagnards. As she had dedicated the pamphlet to the Queen, the Jacobins painted her as anti-republican. When the Girondin government fell in 1793, de Gouges called for an electoral vote so that the people could choose the form of government that was to rule them. The Jacobins interpreted this to mean she was pushing for a restoration of the monarchy, and they arrested de Gouges in November 1793. After a short mock trial, she was sent to the guillotine and executed. Number 5. Théron de Méricourt. Anne-Josèphe Théron de Méricourt was born in the small town of Marcourt on August 13, 1762. She left home at 16 and traveled to Europe. making a living as a courtesan and singer. De Méricourt led a pretty scandalous life and had many lovers. She was drawn to revolutionary ideals due to her experiences of the oppressed, whom she felt she needed to defend. In 1789, she found herself in Paris, just as the French Revolution broke out. Entranced by the idea of the National Assembly, she moved to the Rue de Nouailles in Versailles to be closer to the Assembly, as she wanted to ensure she attended every meeting. Because women were generally excluded from politics, de Méricourt took to wearing masculine clothes and was usually dressed in a red or white riding outfit with a large round hat and carrying a saber. But it was her personability that won her the respect of many of the Assembly's deputies, and journalist Camille Desmoulins described her as having a pretty, thought-filled head. As a performer, she felt more than comfortable talking at the podium of the National Assembly, as well as the famous Cordeliers Club. De Méricourt soon found a following among the filles sans culottes of Paris, who admired her radical stance. Unfortunately, her sordid background and male attire made her a target for royalists. They referred to as the Patriot's whore and asserted that she prostituted herself to the entirety of the National Assembly. Her popularity also put her in the sights of the royalists, who accused her of leading the storming of the Bastille and the Women's March on Versailles. Although she had participated in the March on Versailles, she was by no means the instigator, and there is no evidence that she was even present at the attack of the Bastille. Despite her tough exterior, the slander affected de Méricourt, who left Paris in 1790 and returned to her hometown in Belgium. Although she had left Paris to escape politics, her reputation preceded her, and she was accused of traveling to Belgium with the intent of stirring an insurrection. She was arrested and imprisoned, suffering from horrendous mistreatment while detained. Although she was eventually released due to a lack of evidence against her, her health deteriorated during her time in prison. De Méricourt returned to Paris in 1792 to a hero's welcome. She was hailed as an Amazon of liberty and returned to public speaking and activism, promoting women's rights to bear arms and trying to form a women's militia. There is evidence that she helped organize the 1792 riot on August 10th that led to the attack on the Tuileries Palace, and she continued attending the Jacobin Club meetings. Despite her loyalty to the Jacobins, de Méricourt found herself more aligned with the Girondins as the Jacobins became more radical. As tensions between the two factions increased, de Méricourt became a target of the very group of which she had once been a part. On May 15, 1793, de Méricourt gave a speech in the Jardin des Tuileries promoting Girondinian ideals. She was set upon by a group of Jacobin women who stripped her naked and beat her nearly to death. Although Jacobin leader Jean-Paul Marat saved her, she sustained severe head trauma during the attack. After the assault, her behavior became increasingly erratic until she was declared insane and institutionalized on September 20, 1794. De Méricourt was detained in an asylum until 1807, when she was moved to a women's hospital, where she remained until she died in 1870. How would you like to get a deeper understanding of history, impress your friends, and predict the future more accurately based on past events? If this sounds like something you might be into, then check out the brand new Captivating History Book Club by clicking the first link in the description. To learn more about the French Revolution, check out our book, The French Revolution, a captivating guide to the 10-year revolution in France and the impact made by Napoleon Bonaparte. It's available as an ebook, paperback, and audiobook. If you found the video captivating, please hit the like button and subscribe for more videos like this.